G'day, I'm Donna from Australia and I love making junk journal tutorials. Today's tutorial is an upcycled junk journal cover with creative ideas. The only part that's really not a scrap is the base of the cover. I'm going to use a folded page out of my 𝗍𝗗𝗘𝗏 book. Some of the pages have only text on them, so these pages are perfect to use to make this cover. So I'm going to start with the cover first. I'm using the full height of the page and I'm going to fold it here at the 9-inch mark. That's going to give me a 4.5-inch journal when it's folded. So I don't have to put any pencil mark on my page. I'm just going to fold it over, put the ruler really close to the edge and cut this fold line off. And now that's my cover, height and width done. Now I'm going to fold it in half just so the prettiest part of this page is going to form the base of my front cover. I'm going to stop here for a second and just ask you, did you notice I didn't use the original fold line on the center of the page? I created a new fold line so I can cover the old one and make it stronger. I keep a lot of my scraps in this tray. It works out really good for me because I know the papers I've used before go really well together. I like this one here because it's got a beautiful vintage appeal to it. A good thing about using this technique is you can tear your pieces or you can put your ruler on the paper and cut a straight line. Before I glue anything down, I'm just going to start laying some of the pieces on top of my cover to work out where I should start gluing everything down. Any of the pieces that I know are going to be on top of another piece, I like to add distressing to the edges. I also like to work in sections. So I've got my bottom layer going on the page first, then I'm going to glue another piece on top of that, and the final piece I'll glue over the top of that. And I just keep on doing this all the way until I've filled the back side of my cover, but I'm not filling all of the front. I'm going to stop a little bit short so some of my 𝗍𝗗𝗘𝗏 page shines through. I've also left some of the pieces hanging over the edge of the cover, so I just turn that over and trim them off from the other side. Now this is a really easy way to make a window pocket. Just grab a used window envelope and cut around about 1/2 inch on all sides of your window. Separate the back from the front because we only want one layer. So I'm going to grab some of the same offcuts that I used on my cover, and then I'm going to glue some pieces around the edge of my window pocket. I love to sew, so I've put a light coloured thread on a straight stitch all the way around the edge of my pocket, and then I'm just going to glue it on the sides and the bottom and stick that down on the front of my cover. I really love how this looks so far, but I want to add some fabric pieces to the front just to give it that little something extra. So I've picked out this piece of calico. I printed on this calico. I'll put the video link below on how you can do this yourself. These colours look pretty good with what I'm doing here. So I'm using fabric glue this time. And just a tip, put a little bit of extra glue on the fold line of your cover so that when you place this piece of fabric down, it's then going to stick really well when you close the cover. Oh look, I just spotted this beautiful lace trim out of the corner of my eye. How perfect is it? I'm only going to put a bit of fabric glue along the top edge of this piece, and then when I glue part on the front and part on the back, I'm still able to lift the bottom part of the lace, which just makes it that little bit more interesting. Now I've got the front done, I've turned it over and I've done the same to the inside. This time I left the center fold of the 𝗍𝗵𝗍𝗏 as my focal point, so I didn't cover that area. And it's always optional that you can add a beautiful sewing stitch around the edge. Now you know what size your cover is, you can use your cover as a guide to start collecting papers for your pages. This little paper doily is a little bit wide, but I don't care, I'm still going to use it. So some of the lace is going to peek out from the edge of my pages. And I always like to reinforce the fold line with a piece of washi tape. This is a piece of avocado dyed copy paper. So it goes beautiful with any of the brown tones. This is a piece of printed tissue paper. Kelsey and I went out for lunch and I asked the waitress, could I please have a clean piece of that tissue paper? I want to use it for craft. She said, sure you can, and bought me out this beautiful piece of paper that goes perfectly with this little journal. I've gathered 12 pages. I probably ended up with 13 actually. Every time I put my pages in, when I'm gathering them, I never leave them in the same order. Well, very rarely anyway. So this time is no different. And I'm also going to trim back any of the pages that are longer than my cover. I've trimmed them back, and the only page you can see peeking out is that little doily. I've read comments on my YouTube channel where people are afraid to finish a journal because they're worried about doing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So let me try and help you get over that hurdle, and following my steps here today should help you overcome that fear. I've picked a wax thread in this beautiful, it's a wine red color, but you can use any strong thread you have available. You're also going to need a bookbinding awl or a pokey tool, and you'll need a bookbinder's needle or any needle with a large eye. Start by pulling off the thread. You want 1, 2, nearly 3 lengths of the height of your journal. You don't quite need 3. Cut that off and thread your needle. If you're a beginner, you might like to use pegs. So grab about 3 pegs. Open up your journal to the very center fold page. Now lay the bottom group of pages onto the table and using your fingers, push those pages towards the spine of the cover. So they're all in there nice and snug. Line it up from the top and the bottom so it's even. Push the pages in again with your fingers and grab one of the pegs. You can do this on the bottom side or the top side of your pages. And if it needs adjusting again, take those pegs off and readjust it. You need those pages to be pushed right into the cover. With your journal open halfway and the back part laying flat on the table, get your pokey tool and find the center. Then push it all the way through until it comes out right on that fold spine line. We're going to poke 3 holes. So the second hole, start at the top and just come down about 1.25 inches. You can come down as far as you like. And push that pokey tool right through all the pages until it comes out of the outside spine, right on that fold line. I've got to move my peg out of the road, so this is a good reason why you would use your peg in the top group of pages. I'm not letting go of these pages because I don't want where I just put that hole to move. About 1.25 inches up from the bottom, push that pokey tool right through all the pages until it comes out on the spine line. There's our 3 holes in place. Now I'm going to put a peg on the tail of my thread, and this is so I don't accidentally pull it all the way through the hole. We're ready to start sewing. get your needle and just poke it through the center hole from the inside until it goes all the way outside of the cover. So just pull it enough so there's still a long tail on the inside. Come up to the very top hole, and coming from the outside, push your needle through the holes until it comes out the center. Pull the thread until you've got that long stitch laying flat on the outside. Now miss this hole in the middle and put your needle in the bottom hole inside going outside, and pull that all the way through until you've got a long stitch laying flat on the inside. Close the journal, and you've got to go in the center hole this time where you've already got one stitch. So push your needle in beside the stitch that's already there. Make sure that tail is pulled out of the road, and then pull that thread all the way through to the inside of your journal. Both of my threads are on one side. I'm just going to lift that long stitch and push one under it so I've got one on either side. Then holding the end of each thread with my hands, I'm just going to start pulling it tight. As soon as it feels tight on the inside stitches and the outside stitches, I'm then going to tie my knot, which is going over the long stitch on the inside of the pages. I've only done one knot, but you could definitely do two if you're not using a wax thread. Then I just cut off the excess length. The wax thread has turned out really good. It holds its own. If you just pull it down towards the bottom, it'll just stay there. If you like to have a closure on your journal, you can use a piece of ribbon and tie a knot, but I've got some of these gorgeous old vintage dog clips, so I'm going to use one of these. But if you haven't got anything like this, you can actually buy new ones that look old. I'll put the link below for you. I've got a container full of tags that I've made in previous videos. So I just go through this, and I found this tag here which matches the cover perfectly, and I'm going to use a piece of scrap, is it bric-a-brac? I'm not even going to glue it or tie it. I'm just going to cut it off and let it sit there in the tag because it's not going anywhere. Making a cover out of a book page and using up your scraps is a very creative way to make a junk journal cover. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's not a big journal. It's a single signature, smaller style journal. This is a journal that you can actually use, or you could just pop it into a pocket of a bigger journal. Doesn't matter what sort of paper you use in your journal, they always turn out beautiful.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the one